welcome to the very first day of Spooktacular. I'm Satine Phoenix, and I'm going to be your host. As I just said, it is day one of Spooktacular, and there are so many things happening. We are in full force. We already have 4 archive products that have been announced, and it's not even noon yet. It's very exciting here. Okay, if you missed the products or the codes, make sure that you go to our Facebook groups and have subscribed to our YouTube channel. And most importantly, you have to put the notifications on. That's how you get all the super sweet updates. So, make sure we have 4 different Facebook groups. Bree, what do they have names?
Yes, we have the Court of the Dead.
Court of the Dead.
Rise, Conquer, Rule.
Rise, Conquer, Rule.
The Unruly Industries Designer Toy Collective.
I got it. The Unruly Industries Designer Toy Collective.
Got it.
Okay.
We've got Let Your Statue Sideshow.
That's really cute.
Thanks.
Let Your Statue Sideshow. Go to these Facebook groups. They sound really fun. And participate. We have lots of codes. We have a lot of things happening. Let's see. Don't miss out on the epic giveaways and reward codes. There's a lot happening. Also, make sure you stay logged into your Sideshow account for so you can enter these codes efficiently and very quickly. Okay, and if you haven't heard, we have a Gleam contest that just started this morning that will run all the way through Halloween. It's one of our most sought after pieces, Toothless, the dragon statue. Can I touch one? I really want to look at one. Bree's sitting right there, so I'm looking over at her right now. Yes.
Toothless is in the mystical realm at the moment.
Well, Toothless is returning. Head to side.show/spookytoothless for your chance to win a Toothless statue. Now that I am done mostly babbling, let's get to our show. Okay. I've got some awesome guests with me. Please welcome George, Michelle, and Micah from Immortal Masks. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you to our live audience.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So we're going to be doing a Q&A. So put your questions into the chat. Bree is going to sort them out. Be respectful. I know you're gonna. And we will get to them after my questions. So, my dear friends, it's good to see you. It's good to see you again.
I know, right?
It's been a very
Yeah,
long time,
yeah.
and it's good to meet
Know
you.
each other from
A long time.
long time. I worked on a
more.
movie that you had friends on the same movie, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where it came from. Yeah.
And here we are today.
Yeah.
So I know about you, but let's pretend nobody knows about you guys. Share with everybody about your company.
Okay. Well, we're Immortal Masks. So minus Andrew Freeman. We should mention right away that our fearless leader and founder of our company is actually back painting today because it's Halloween and we have a mask company. So he's painting and said, you guys come and do the show and think of me. So we're a silicone mask company based in San Dimas, California. We are probably the most prolific silicone mask company. And for those of you that aren't sure what that is, those are the Mission Impossible masks, the ones that go over your face and they move your face and the way they work. So it's like a giant overhead prosthetic. And yeah.
Movie quality.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we do. Started what?
2010 in my garage.
Yeah, Michelle's garage.
Cool.
Yeah, like most success stories, it started with an idea and in a garage. And I think at that point in time, her husband and myself were both working at the same effects company, and he had already started this little company in his garage. Things kind of happened. I left the company. He brought out a partner, brought Michelle in to be an integral part of the company, and this whole thing started happening with this product that was becoming kind of a new thing that we thought, well, if we push a little bit of what we know about film effects into a commercial product, maybe we can make something cool, because that's essentially all we really do is make cool things. Like, why don't we just make cool things for everybody?
That's so nice of you.
Yeah, and we all have our part in the company. It's nice. Me, George, and Andrew, we all fit in together to make the company work perfectly. It's really nice.
And then we're lucky enough to bring in amazing artists like Micah over here, and have like a really good group of people that are sculpting and painting, casting, seaming, patching our front of the house people. It's become this thing, a big machine now.
That's awesome. So your products are terrifyingly lifelike. What's the process? Do you have a specialized process? Can you share it, or is it like proprietary?
I mean, some is proprietary. I mean, I couldn't even explain that part, I think. We use a product, platinum silicone, that simulates skin. It's tricky, it's temperamental, it wants to fight you back at every possible angle, and then when you get good at it, there's not even a better substance to work with. We just kind of decided to really make this our focus and get really good at this one type of thing. It's one material, I think. And so our process is it starts with an idea. You know, we sit around and brainstorm and shoot these crazy ideas at each other, and you know, sometimes there are conversations about what scares us, and sometimes it's just a mythological thing, and sometimes it's just make a realistic gold man or something, and then we start sculpting on a very specialized core. That's the representation of the human head that's going to be wearing the mask, and from there it goes into a mold process. We mold them in epoxy and fiberglass, and from there it goes to our casting department where they choose colors and they mix them and they get the silicone ready, put it in. It goes to our extremely talented patch department that makes the mask look beautiful after it comes out of a mold. Sends them over to our painters who are skilled in painting silicone, which is difficult in itself.
It sounds difficult because I mean, it has to be able to receive it, and you don't want it to look like this.
Well, yeah,
It's like
that's the
makeup on
thing.
top.
Nothing sticks to silicone but silicone. So you actually have to paint the mask in curing silicone. So it actually becomes integral. It's kind of cool. Since the mask is in a state of cure, for about 72 hours, the mask is actually physically curing still. And you paint the mask with a kind of a watered-down version of the same silicone that you used to cast the mask in, with pigments and coloration, and it cures together and becomes an integral piece.
So, from my very small experience as a painter, is it like a layering process where you have to kind of go in and do like very like watered down, and then you kind of build up the color over and over?
Yes, and you have to cure those pieces off too. So there, and so you become like a little bit like mad chemist and artist at the same time, where you're painting with the curing silicone. So to paint the next layer, you have to make sure that those are flashed off or are cured, so you can go in with the next layer. And we use things like heat to accelerate cure process. And
That's really cool.
And we have some amazing painters.
Yeah.
Really talented crew working for us right now.
They really bring it to life.
Yeah.
And then we have finishing after that, teeth and horns, sometimes hair work, and
It's become a like I said, a thing. It's like a and as we push every idea and with our new masks, it leads another department is challenged. Cool, who's putting the lights in? Things like that.
So you have to design like the mechanics of it essentially.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just a sculpt. You're actually like, okay, how does this function and move? How do these pieces fit together?
Right.
Yep. And we've had some tricky ones too, where we really had to sit and think about how are we going to make like a shark put on a human form,
Yeah.
But
And I
we
think
figure it out.
we learn from like our mistakes too. Like in the
Yeah.
beginning, the old days, it's like, I remember our first mask that we ever made that had a light in it, and we didn't intend to have a light in it. And then I went home for the day, and then Andrew posted a picture on our social media of this mask with a glowing light. I'm like, whoa, how'd you do that? He's like, I just drilled a hole in the head for him, and I put a flashlight in there. I'm like, oh, now I got to figure out how to put a light in this mask. so we did that, and then from there we learned later, and now we have like intricate systems that go into the mask, and because now we plan these things.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's the exploration that
Sure.
kind of evolves the
Yeah.
situation.
And that's the fun part. It is. We get bored with our toys, So they had.
I think we definitely push ourselves. So we used to come up with more inventive ways to make really cool stuff.
Yeah. That's like always the next challenge. Like, okay, cool, we did that already. Now what can we do? So yeah.
I have a question here. I don't even know what this means.
Okay.
I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Okay. Has the Flex Fusion system altered anything about how these masks are sculpted?
Yes. Okay. So Flex Fusion. It is the usage of power mesh, which is it's a 4-way stretch mesh system that goes into all of our masks. We're one of the only companies that actually does this 100% in our masks, which means that we hire outside seamstresses to sculpt, to sew a 5-panel hood that fits over our cores, and we close the mold around that. We pour the silicone so it encapsulates in there, and it protects the mask. And that's basically what it does. How has it helped us? Many ways. It turned out that because of that, we can actually sculpt the mask thinner.
Yeah, it allows us to really push forms. Like whereas before you'd really have to kind of adhere to the core and create like to those proportions.
Right.
And now we can push it like we have like a giant werewolf snout and like all these crazy things that we can do because of the flex fusion system.
Right. We turned, I think, things that were before maybe like a negative about silicone, which would be like one, platinum silicone's heavy. Two, platinum silicone is fragile in a way. By putting this mesh system into the mask, we can kind of like not worry about the fragile side because the mesh is protecting it. At the same time, it's always pulling everything back to the form. So then we can build out and not worry about that heavy part that we were talking about because it's always wanting to pull it back to the form. So yeah, it's definitely become this like a big positive. And the bottom line is we want to protect the masks. We want to protect the investment. They're expensive, and we also don't want to be fixing masks all day long. So
I have a question. I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so how do you keep them clean?
Because nothing sticks to silicone but silicone. It's tacky in nature, so things like want to stick to it. But
Like
a baby
dust,
wipe. Yeah, a baby wipe.
It's that simple?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, what made you guys want to get into creating high-quality creature horror masks?
Ooh.
Well, it was my husband. I mean,
Yeah.
when the company started, it was in the garage, so I was raising our kids, and then once we were ready to move on and get into, a big warehouse, he wanted me to be a part of it. He needed someone to run the books and, help with the front end of stuff, and I said, I'll do it. And I love horror. I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of art. I'm a fan of stuff. I'm a fan of my husband.
Yeah.
So, that's why I'm into it.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up, I grew up watching like sci-fi and like horror movies and I was the one that like wanted. I'm a Halloween kid. I wanted the coolest costume, so I was watching these movies and I was like, cool Predator. How do I get that? I want that Predator costume. Like, how do I, And I think through years and years and years of later, meeting Andrew, we kind of got to this point where, we had the opportunity to do that. We were in film effects, only film effects for the longest time, and I think like 10 years ago there was like a little bit of a dry spell in like practical effects and even movies being shot in Los Angeles. So it was highly competitive within the film effects industry. And like I said, we just thought, we make cool things. Why are we only focusing on one market? And suddenly we started being able to make those cool things that you see in movies, but available to that little kid version of us.
We're very lucky. Our job is fun.
Yes.
We have a good time at work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stressful times, of course, it's a job, but we have fun for the most part.
I really want to see like baby you in like a cardboard, in like a wood glue. Like,
my parents
outfit.
totally get what I do and why. And there's been different career paths for me, but they're like, this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're the kid that was planning out your Halloween costume in May.
Yeah. Micah, what about you?
What about me? I kind of came at it through cosplay, actually. So I was really into the whole cosplay community, and then like I started getting more. I wanted to do more extreme costumes and like have more makeups and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's kind of. I honestly like had a very conservative upbringing, so we didn't really watch a lot of horror movies. So I kind of missed out on that part, and now I'm trying to catch up and watch all the classics from the '80s. But yeah, so I came at it through, like I said, costuming, so I'm less on the horror end of things. Like I'm kind of learning as I go. Like we service the haunt community, and I'm learning what they like, and it's kind of I'm more in the fantasy, like that sort of realm of things. So yeah, I'm learning monsters as we go.
Mike has actually brought I think that's a cool part about our company because we see people's strengths, and it's not only in their ability, but by their personal taste and things. And like Micah has kind of brought LARPing a little bit into our catalog, and like suddenly we're starting to see things like Micah sculpted a fawn
Yeah.
recently, and it's there's some really cool things that are being put into our catalog right now because of like personal taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you put me in the horror stuff, and I make weird shit.
You're making one of the weirder ones I've seen in a while right now.
Can't talk about it.
I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I guess just tune into our Facebook page. You'll see it probably in a week or so. We start showing off our sculptures. It's weird. It's just,
but it's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to naming this thing. That's like we yeah.
We have fun naming them. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, Micah, you're a sculptor.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to hear the story of how you ended up with this company.
That's funny. I'm from Wisconsin, and I started. I'd fly out here for conventions and costuming and stuff like that, and I ended up going to like their booth because I'd been a fan of their company for a long time, like since the beginning. I was telling George, like he ran a contest on the RPF. Back when I was costuming, and I was like, these masks are so cool. I want to win this contest, and I didn't win. But it was a sculpture contest. And,
In the end, you did win.
Yeah. So then I found them at a booth, and I just started harassing them. I'm like, hire me, please, hire me. And they're like, you live in Wisconsin, we can't hire you. And I'm like, okay. So then I moved out here, and again, hire me. And they brought me in.
We did. And there's a family within the family at Immortal Masks. And Micah's part of that family. Part of the Face Off family.
Yeah.
Micah was on Face Off. Andrew was on Face Off. Damien, one of our painters, was on Face Off.
Gage.
And
Gage is
it's
on
funny
Face
thing,
Off.
our kids go to school together.
Yeah.
Oh,
So our kids
cool.
are buddies now.
So, I mean, if you do what you love for your career, which it sounds like what you guys do, do you do any of this stuff for yourself? Like, do you still cosplay? Do you make stuff like outside of work?
Oh yeah, like 4 different Halloween costumes this year. I'm like,
Oh, really?
Yeah. LA Comic Con was last weekend. I was a Cobra Commander. It was like, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so what are your Halloween costumes?
I'm Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit for one party. Yeah, that's happening.
I'm gonna wear one of our masks.
Oh.
I'm gonna wear. We have this one mask called Botched, and it's like plastic surgery, like way overdone. And I did like a goth version of it because when I was a kid, I was a goth kid, and it turned out amazing. And it's a fun mask to wear because people just give you the weirdest looks. Like,
It's a double
is that
take
a
one.
mask?
Is it just like, whoa, what is that alarm?
It's reward code time!
Reward code time! The reward number is VY1 PVD PIM.
Right there at the lower part of the screen.
It's right down there. The code is only good from 11:20 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. today. So head to spooktacular.com. Yeah, to enter the code. Is that correct? Are those words correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. That's really cool. I wonder what the reward is. You'll have to go and enter it to find out. Okay, back to my wonderful guest. Actually, do we have questions from our audience? You guys,
Quite a few questions.
Oh,
we
no.
do.
And also a lot of compliments towards your dress.
Yes.
Awesome.
Wait, check out her earrings though. They seem
Oh,
to get
they're
bigger
little-
now.
They're little machetes.
Cleavers.
Yeah. Or clay
I believe I have the wrong thingamajiggy. I don't have the questions.
Oh,
Womp womp womp.
intermission.
Okay, so we're doing it live, guys. So see, they're not in there. No, they don't have the questions. Oh, it's offline, that's why. You can text them to me. Bree's amazing. Bree,
It's okay, while Bree does that, we can talk more about Halloween costumes.
yes, Halloween
Yeah.
costumes.
Wait, what are you gonna be?
I'm gonna be me. I couldn't figure out what I want to be.
You got time.
It's true. I'm gonna be at Gamehole Con. I'm running
Yeah.
a bunch of D&D games.
Right on.
Oh my God, there's so many questions. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
We'll take a stab at it.
To each one of you, what was your first mask
Our first mask
that you made?
Ever?
ever?
Interpret as you will.
Yeah. God.
Well, the first Immortal Masks that
Yeah.
I really liked, because like initially we only had male fit masks, you know, so we did this one version of this really creepy mask called the Unborn Mask, and we called it Sally, and it had freckles and it had pigtails, and it was very odd and weird, but I loved it. And I remember like that was my first mask of ours, of Immortal Masks, that I wore.
I think
Oh, cool.
I think the first mask suggestion that I made for Andrew to sculpt, it was our Japanese Oni mask, and I'm a fan of Japanese culture and I have some Japanese tattoos, and I think our common friend Neil Fisher was like he provided some of these Hanya masks for that movie Sushi Girl, and I was like, inspired by those, and so I kind of was hitting up Andrew to do like a living Hanya mask, and I think at first he was like no, and then he did it, and it was like it came out cool,
Yeah,
and so
it came out really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. My favorite.
What was the first thing you sculpted?
The
for
first
us?
thing I sculpted was the the faceplate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they finally let me have a go at a silicone mask, and I made Lilith, which is like a tiefling.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm a nerd.
Yes.
Yes.
you
Or,
are.
or a demon,
get
if you
you.
want to play it that way.
No, it's a tiefling.
Well, for the haunters, it's a demon, but
yes,
for the nerds, it's a tiefling. Yeah, and she has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Nice. What is the best-selling mask
I mean, it changes every year. Because
this year? Last year?
This year,
Ooh,
well,
I think.
the Reverend's always at the top because he's so versatile.
He's iconic too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Two surprising ones this year. One of them Micah sculpted, one Andrew sculpted. Our alien, which is literally it's like our take at a gray alien. It's probably one of the. I mean, they're all complicated and complex because they have their things, but like simple kind of in a sense. Like who knew that the gray alien was going to be like everyone's been buying it? Maybe the whole.
Well, they did have to storm Area 51.
Yeah, I think that's it too. And then we sometimes we revisit old characters that we have, and we in our Generation 1 catalog we had a skull mask, and it was just called the Reaper. And then we're like, let's revisit that. We've been doing these things where like skinned looking things, so you're seeing muscle texture and veins and stuff. And so we gave Mike a new skull to do called Death, and it's just it's a beautiful sculpture.
Thank you.
And we sell the hell out of that mask
Yeah,
too. So
right.
and we're fun because then we get to play. It's like a blank canvas. So we start coming up with different variations of those same masks. And
The
Death.
charred vampire one.
Yeah, we did one.
Very
That's like
cool.
we're like, what if like
Yes.
light passed one way and it just charred it, and then it was all bone in one way, and it put fangs in it, and
It's really
it's a lot of
cool.
fun. Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, all this talk about masks. I've got the surprise things that we have here of yours. They're sitting
Yes.
right here. And
Why we're
actually-
here?
I know, and I
Yeah.
haven't looked at them because I want to be surprised on camera.
Okay.
Also, I really want to touch them
You-
because you guys are
yeah.
talking about all these textures and these
Yes,
things. So before we get back to the Q&A, we're gonna go touch these new masks.
This is kind of a reveal, a product
It
launch, I
is.
guess, kind of.
Yes, it is. So, oh my gosh.
It's, let's bring this one up right now.
Okay, actually,
'Cause-
yeah.
You,
I think I'll need some help with
all
it.
right, here.
Okay, you said I could pick it up by
You
the
can't,
head.
rather, yes.
Oh.
So this is the first of 3 Court of the Dead silicone masks that we are now doing as
That is amazing.
official Sideshow Collectibles and Immortal Masks collab here. But yeah, this is Red Death. This Micah sculpted Red Death.
Beautiful.
And,
Oh my
That
gosh.
is, just so there's no confusion, also known as a Vargas.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't
Yes.
sure how to pronounce his name.
It's a hard one.
Right.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. Also,
Absolutely a fun mask to do. It's squishy silicone.
that right there. That
Yeah.
bothers me.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun to do.
Good job, guys. It's gross. You did it.
Yeah, it's cool. We I think a couple of years ago at Monster Palooza, I think it was the first time we'd ever spoken. I think myself and Jesse Lincoln spoke about the potential of doing some Court of the Dead masks, and then kind of like things like that come and they kind of go.
Yeah.
And then this year it became a reality, and we sat down and started really mapping out some ideas. And
Yeah, it's
was,
amazing and totally disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, really well done, guys.
Thanks.
Wow. How long does it take to make something like this?
how long did you sculpt it for?
Oh, that one was a little bit longer. He's got. I gotta say, like, it was such a pleasure to work on this one. The source material is just incredible, and there's so many like beautiful textures, and it's kind of a sculptor's dream. I feel like he took me a few weeks because
Yeah?
he was a bit more involved, and there's because we had to make sure the jog could move and everything like that, and trying to get the proportions right.
Want to see what it looks like on?
Yeah.
Make it
Well,
come
I'm
alive.
actually really surprised at how much depth you can get into it.
Part of that's due to our painters, who are just
Yeah.
phenomenal. I believe Damien
Oh my
painted
gosh,
this
you're
one.
just ripping it right off
Yeah.
of the mount.
Yeah, I mean they're really squishy. Like,
So,
I have a really big imagination, guys. This is gonna freak me out. Oh my god. Just slips right off.
Wow.
It's freaking cool.
Wow, that's actually.
Look right here. Look right here.
Oh wow.
Wait, I need to. Hold on, costume.
Costume.
oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. There you go, casual.
So I could be.
Wow.
Wow. So this is for mass production, or is this?
Yes.
Yep.
Wow. Tell us a story about your
Well.
masks. Just a brief
So
story.
yeah, this is number one. This is the paint reference, Paint Master. It's going into production.
Can you see out of it?
I can perfectly. There's two little holes right there. I can see everybody great. Yeah.
The one thing we're really good at is hidden eye holes. Like,
Yeah,
I
really
always, and I
well
always
done.
love the designs that have that because it pushes the character so much more.
It's so good. How does wearing it for how long can you wear something like this?
Oh, I can go hours. Yeah.
Everybody has different tolerance level, though. You know, like.
I can't look at you.
this is like every day at the company though. There's someone wearing them.
I just want to see you guys around the office desks, each in a different mask, with a red thing with pie charts and coffee and kind of discussing something. I don't know.
So that's it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you. But wait, there's more.
So the next one was sculpted by Andrew Freeman, and I don't think you could possibly do Court of the Dead without Malivestros. So there's our Mal.
Also creepy, no matter how you look at him.
Yeah, and he was
That's
a
beautiful.
lot of fun to do. He was the first one that we discussed. It was like the
Teeth.
and so we did a little kind of fun thing because we're working on the potential of another version too with the actual full headdress. But this was a fun little piece to do
Wow.
right there to put the Court of the Dead symbol.
Can we get a close
engraved
up?
right on there in the back of the leather cowl.
Yeah.
So when we studied the sculpture and then we were lucky enough to be provided with a lot of great renderings and artwork of the whole process of creating these characters. That we and so thankful that the whole group at Sideshow has been so good at giving us great notes and then good artistic freedom to kind of just go ahead and have at it, and interpret what a living version might look like. And so this one, there's some challenges. Okay, so how are we gonna do the cowl and what should be on there? And so Andrew Freeman sculpted this one. That's
Wow, that's absolutely
our
stunning.
partner and our founder, and he's, like I said, back home painting right now. It was a fun part about this too is that we have a lot of great friends that are effects artists and work in the industry, even some here that work at Sideshow. And so we had a friend of ours, John Wrightson, if you guys are familiar with the Wrightson name. John is Bernie's son, but he's a really good friend of mine and Andrew's. And he was in between working on Walking Deads and popped in the shop, and Andrew's like, hey, we always hustle John for something. You want to sculpt the back of this? And so John popped in and gave it the cool Court of the Dead symbol on the back.
God, this is so beautiful.
cool?
I love the way the lip curls up, but even this gap between the lip and the teeth, that's beautiful. And then the pinking around the teeth over here. Can you talk about how this marbling sculpt, coloring, that's amazing.
Malivestros, in paint, posed a couple challenges because he's there's different versions of him, and the one we're so commonly see is kind of a gray skin, and so we had an idea first to maybe cast him in gray and then start working off that, And gray turned out to be a little bit dark, so we went and cast them white and started working off the white. And then they build up, like we were talking about earlier, they build up a spatter pattern to kind of do a skin breakup. And then there's veining in there, and there's a lot of little subtleties in this mask that are pretty cool. But
You
yeah,
can see all of it, and I love this delicate stitching here, and it looks like you could just take that off.
right?
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Thanks for sharing this.
You're welcome.
Oh my God, this is so good.
We have one more that's coming soon. We're gonna start working on Xyle.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is it?
We've got some great references.
Oh.
Again, yeah,
You know what I'm talking
thank
about,
Tom and
right?
Jesse
The-
for providing us some really, really cool artwork, and we're gonna start, like we said, challenges, the way that things we approach certain things. Xyle's got some challenging features. Those back plates are gonna be a lot of fun, but we have some ideas, and based on things that we've done in the past, I think we're gonna probably attack it with the knowledge that we have, and maybe learn a couple things along the way.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much.
I would expect to
can't wait
start
for that.
starting Xyle probably in the next couple weeks.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely, hopefully, have you back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
yeah, we'd love
because
that.
that's amazing. Okay, well, I need to move this just because I will just keep staring at it, and we still have some time left, and
Sure.
we have a lot of questions.
Ooh, let's get into 'em.
Wow, everyone's having a great time in chat. Hi, everybody. This is actually really phenomenal. They're very interested in your process and the
right
different
on.
masks and everything. How long will the masks last?
Well, like any good thing, it'll last as long as you take care of it. As far as the physical properties of the mask, platinum grade silicone is rated at 25 plus years, which means it doesn't degrade. So it is rated at that because it hasn't really, the type of silicone we use hasn't really made an existence past that, so they can't rate it past that. But it's not like latex, doesn't break down with skin, and oils like that, so the mask will last as long as you take care of it.
Cool. Is there like an optimal care thing? Like
we have these masks, we have them on display forms. They're not a necessity. It doesn't lose shape or anything like that. See, this mask is like folded over.
Yeah.
You can take the mask and like lay it on a shelf. We provide a plastic bag. Put it in a plastic bag. Blimp won't get on it. It's pretty simple.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There's just little things too, like, when you put it on, don't pull in the eye holes, don't pull in the mouth, there's just a trick to when you put it on to making sure you're gentle with it, not rough.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. Have you ever pranked your family or friends with one of your masks?
Sure.
We every year we have Christmas at this restaurant, and my family's really big. And Andrew, my husband, Andrew Freeman, he decided to come in with the old man mask in. And my grandma, this was a few years ago, she's 98 tomorrow, but she was probably like 80 at the time. He came in with the grandpa mask and goes, "Oh, Liette, hey everybody, I'm Liette's new boyfriend." And everyone was just like, "What?"
My dad does. My dad's a retired dentist, and like a biggest fan. He has I think the whole range of our
He's got a lot
realistic
of them,
masks.
yeah.
I guess every birthday I'm like, "Yeah, there's a mask, Dad." And he has a blast pranking friends with them. Yeah. So yes.
Awesome. What do you guys use to inspire the designs?
Ooh.
All sorts of stuff.
Yeah, inspiration
Yeah.
from anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be. It's always a conversation, and it sometimes it's just Micah sculpted a really weird mask called Shroud.
Oh, Shroud, yeah.
Yeah, which is this just almost disturbing mask. But
For me, that one started because I was terrified of that werewolf movie when I was
right
a kid, the box.
in the
cover.
Company of Wolves, and that's what it started with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like
Oh, I
this.
saw
It was like
that.
a wolf
Oh,
snout coming out of
okay.
a actual mouth, and we're like, so we started talking, and it inspired a
It
mask.
snowballed into
Yeah.
this thing.
And we have a mask called Crater Face, which Micah also sculpted, and it's what's that fear of
Trypophobia?
holes?
Trypophobia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really creepy. It's got holes all up in it.
Yes,
Yeah.
It could
A lot
be
of
just
people
like
have problems
it could.
with that one.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like what haven't we done yet? And so you kind of go through the mental checklist of do we have one of those? Do we have one of those? We should do one of those.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just a necessity. Like we try to listen to our customer and fan base and what they are into. And sometimes we're making things for them specifically. And sometimes it's just something that we wanted to do and we have no idea if anyone's gonna like it at all. We're just kind of
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, like when Michelle was talking about the shark mask, you know, like we did it. We have a great white shark mask. Like, who wants to wear a shark med? You know,
Apparently, a lot of people.
If you dream it, somebody's gonna want it.
but we
right?
did. We wanted to see it, and so we made a shark. You know.
Cool.
Yeah.
For your masks, how do you choose the sizing for the interior face structure so that it fits a wide range of people?
Okay, good question. Our masks are one size fit most. 21 3/4 inches to 25 inches in diameter.
For the male fit. 'cause
Right,
we have female fit.
measured around the head, and then the female fit is 20 inches to I think 23 and a half. Yeah, we say before we start seeing things like facial distortion and and comfort issues. So can we size them? We have to pick like a median range to fit as many people as possible. Does that size some people out? It does. Unfortunately, we can't. But we do custom work too. So
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
to
yeah,
we can
know.
talk.
We get a lot of questions sometimes about kids, you know, will they fit kids? A male fit mask won't, but sometimes the female fit will, because they're sculpted on smaller corpses.
So how do they contact you for custom stuff? I know a lot of people like custom.
Email.
Info at immortalmasks.com. Email
Yeah.
us. Call the office. We'd be happy to spend time talking to you about it.
You guys sound so friendly and easy to access. What was the most challenging mask to create?
Ooh.
This is a two-part question. That's the first half.
Xyle, no. Challenging.
Probably the Android.
The Android, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
recently we started to want to start incorporating lighting systems into masks, and and so that was a lot of thinking in advance about how we were going to do those masks.
It's got the removable pieces and everything.
Yeah, it's magnetic
It's
removable
really
snap
complicated.
pieces,
Yeah.
and like there's a like EL wire that goes through it, and that was a trick too because you saw these masks, they stretch 360 degrees. Putting harder elements, or especially lighting elements, into a mask that wants to go in every direction and not having this come out, that was a challenge in itself. We had to really kind of test, okay, which way did we have to angle things to go into masks to not have that happen. So there was a lot of plotting in that one. We have a Cthulhu mask. That was a challenge. Because we wanted to do, and we wanted the tentacles, and so we were like, this is in the earlier days, and when we were really playing with pushing design elements, and like how heavy could we go, or how far could we make these come out. It's a cool mask, it really is.
Do you guys see Carnival Row?
Yes.
Their thing.
Yes,
with the
yes, yes,
spoilers.
yes.
What's inside?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Like stuff like that is so amazing, and it's really
That's
fun to see.
kind of why your new sculpture. There's
Oh
something.
really?
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well.
So I didn't say it.
Okay.
There you go.
I want to because the makeup
Yeah,
would
but
be
what I
amazing.
like is when like we're talking about inspiration.
Right.
You know, there's so much inspiration in just the animals around
Yep.
you, and being able to like combine different ideas and different animals, and then the layering of that.
Right.
So when you're building these masks and you want to make them so that people can talk in them, do you have to design them so that the mouth is going to move and you want people to feel comfortable? Is that something you're actively aware of?
Yeah, and it's a struggle because there are moments that the aesthetic overrides the sense. And so, like I'm sorry, but if the animal's ears are here, and you're not,
Your
we
ears
don't
are
have
here.
ear holes, so you might be a little bit muffled in that mask. Or if your nose is, and the sculpture is located here, I may not be able to find a way to hide a nose hole, so you're breathing out of your mask. So there's a couple masks. For the most part, we always look at it and go, eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. Can we do it?
Yeah.
And then we approach the mask, and then we try to figure out ways to hide things.
Yeah. Every now and then there's like one where we're like, we'll have to take away one of the senses.
Right.
Or I guess mute it down. Like, we never take away eyesight completely, obviously. That one's
Yeah.
But we might make it with hidden eyes, or, not have nose holes. But we try to accommodate, because a lot of our customers are wearing them for long periods of time in haunted houses, so we want them to be comfortable.
Yeah.
That's so nice of you. So the second half of this question is, which masks are you most proud of creating?
Look at all of them. I mean,
They're all his babies. He can't.
Yeah,
can't
yeah. so
Most of my favorite masks are the ones that have the push design and the hidden eye holes. Like Cthulhu is one of my favorites. The
Yeah.
eye holes are here by his like tentacle nose things, and then the mask has its own eyes that are like wide set like this. It just
Sculpted eyes,
pushes the features so much and makes it look so much less human, and I love that. And the Berserker, I love that one too. It's just this big crazy demon, and the eye holes it has no eyes.
now, and like. They're our babies. Let's face facts.
Yeah.
Like now and again, we might have a mask in the beginning. I'll tell a quick story. There's an effects artist named Steve Johnson. He's a pretty famous effects artist. If you guys don't know who Steve Johnson is, he's done the Abyss and Ghostbusters, and he happens to be a good friend of ours. He sculpted this mask. We hired him to sculpt a mask, and it was this supposed to be a dark elf, and he brought this doofy looking thing. It was like the most ridiculous looking thing we'd ever seen, and at first all of us kind of went, "What is that?" And so it sat in our shop for like about a month, like the sculpture, kind of like should we mold that, or like what are we doing with that? And so we did. We molded it, and then we got it in silicone, and it became like the shop favorite. It's like, it's like the most ridiculous, like goofy looking. And we should have known. It's the guy that sculpted Slimer, man. Like he made it, a dark elf, and he made this thing with like funny ears, and it's one of our favorite masks. So even when they start off as like an idea, we're like, eventually they find like this warm place in our heart.
Almost like the silicone itself kind of brings life to it.
It did. It totally did. Yeah.
And there's been a few masks when I'm like, it's okay, like when it's in sculpture form, but then they put paint on it and they finish it and like hair work or whatever, and I'm like, it's amazing. Like, wow.
And then it was like, next, go to the next mask.
So you guys know that you inspire people. You must know that you inspire people, obviously.
I mean, it's cool to hear that. It is. I mean, but we're inspired by the masses and the people who are writing these questions right now. It's like that's what keeps us going.
We have time for more questions. I've kind of been blazing through this interview. So you guys out there, please write more questions into the chat. Bree has her computer back and can put them in the thing, and then we'll read them off. But I want to know, and I think this is also one of the questions, for people out there who are starting, what tips or advice would you give them to start the journey of doing what you guys do?
Ooh, I'm gonna go to you.
Oh, you're gonna kick that over to me?
Yeah.
I always say like the one thing that you can do and that anybody can do, with you don't have to have money or anything like that, is just draw. Like it's a good way to get. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to get your ideas out. And then if you want, you can start. I only started sculpting like 6 years ago, so like for me it was much later to the game. I started off drawing, but you can start. You can find cheap materials. You can make stuff, and I think just getting all your ideas out, that's the most important thing to do. You don't have to go to school. Some people do better in school. I think that everyone has to kind of find their own individual path. So just create.
Yeah, like, Andrew calls it flexing the artistic muscle, like as an exercise. Constantly create, even if it's something that you're just gonna stash away.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to show everybody everything you make.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, I got some doozies that like they'll never see the light.
Nobody
of day.
should see this.
And after that, I mean, like the great, the internet. We're all on it right now. I mean, there's a lot of great information out there to get started.
Yes.
Find a mentor. I would suggest that probably too. Work with. Like, I went to film school. I went to art school. The same when you went to it.
Yeah, you did.
High five. I'm wondering. I remember my dentist dad gave me some advice. When I was going back to school again, he said it's not a popularity contest. So go find the best and work with them. That's true. Find like-minded people that are motivated and that you can learn from, and they can learn from you too. That's the best.
Absolutely.
advice I can give.
I'm about to die from coughing. I think we have more questions.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's see if I can actually ask them. Wow, I'm so impressed with you guys in chat. You were very active, and I adore you. Does Micah make clay sculptures / statue sculptures as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Period.
Come on, plug away right now.
What? Oh yeah, I have an Etsy store. It's all under Feral Works. My Instagram's Feral Works. But yeah, I have my own artistic practice as well, and I make statues. I make my own masks. So yeah, I'm a working artist.
Yeah. Some really cool stuff with
Thank
Micah's
you.
Etsy store, by the way. So
Cool. So yeah, I guess you want to spell it out so that people are very specific. Like
Feral Works. FERALWORKS.
Cool. Thank you so much.
much.
Have you guys wanted to add animatronics inside of masks to create other effects like strange breathing methods?
yes. Wanted to and doing are two different things. Yes. but don't,
Someday.
but don't break it. Yes, and we are kind of the idea of some of our masks right now. We've been playing with the idea of a virtual animatronics in a certain way. Like some of the ideas of pushing our mask design is based on the fact that we know that animatronics work with a hard undershell and a soft outer area, and so while our concern was people breaking them and us fixing animatronics left and right. Could we create those things virtually with using different density silicones? And some of our masks incorporate different short hardness silicones within the same mask to create firmer structures that allow for the softer structures to do different things. So, but as far as like actual animatronics goes, I mean, we talked about it. I'm sure it's going to happen.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But that's like
We have to brush up on our programming first.
Yeah. there is
That's the
a
amazing
couple
with
things in the
fans,
works
right?
right now that we might start playing with like some digital tech in it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the things that you can do with programmable LEDs are phenomenal.
Yeah, that's that costume I'm wearing for. I've got projection cartoon eyes for my Judge Doom.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So.
Any chance of getting an archaic Greek Gorgon?
Oh.
God, yeah. There's a total chance of that. It's in the works right now.
It's something that we're workshopping.
Yeah, back to that challenging thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the snakes
on
are
the
there
list.
already. Like we already have. We're pulling things in clay and playing with how heavy is this going to be and things like that. So, but yeah, it's in the works.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah, I guess having things that hang, you have to get them to not be
Right, and then-
heavy and then droop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants droopy snakes.
Yeah.
right. So, but it's already in the works. Yeah.
Is it more challenging to do a sculpt of a developed character like Court of the Dead versus creating from scratch?
I'm gonna defer to you.
You know, it's differently challenging, I'd say. Like, there's, obviously we want to adhere to it, but like the challenge, like when I was doing Red Death, is that he's a very emaciated figure, but I still have to encapsulate a human form. So trying to create that emaciated look on the human, but also make it so it can be worn. So yes, that is challenging. Trying to keep it as so that you can recognize the character, and it'll be in that same field and also adapted to a mask. But making your own characters, that's a whole concept challenge too. So it's there's a lot of different ways to go at it. So yeah, I think they both have their own unique challenges.
Right. I noticed like we're working with something that's a licensed piece or it's a likeness or a custom sculpture that we're doing for something. It has to look like that. And so that the challenge is making it look like that. I think for original designs, I think you're your own worst enemy. It's like, do I like that? I'm gonna take it off. That's what happens. Or like, somebody comes in with a second opinion. You're like, what's with this thing? And like,
Then you question all your
yeah,
life.
right. And then it becomes harder because of that.
So even though you're amazing at what you do, you still suffer the artist
way
of
Because when it's finally done, that's it. It's like there's no could have been, would have been. It's like when the sculpture's done, it goes in the mold. That's it.
Yeah.
We find creative ways to turn them into other things later too, though. And sometimes they reveal things that we didn't even think about when they were in the clay. So we're pretty adept at working with silicone now, so we can actually like manipulate it and kind of okay, well, cool. What if we added horns? And we can do that now. And stuff, so, yeah.
This has been an amazing time. Thank you
Yeah,
guys so
cool.
much. George, Michelle, and Micah from Immortal Masks.
Thanks.
I'm just going to put this up here as
Yeah.
we close because this is so gross and amazing at the same time. I am not a fan of horror because it makes me very anxious, but I'm also fascinated. So being able to get this close to something as someone who is very viscerally afraid of this stuff is actually very exciting.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you all for being a part of the audience today. You are amazing. Your questions were amazing. Don't forget, this is only day 1 of Spooktacular. Come back tomorrow for the Court of the Dead stream. I will be your host again. That's right. 2 days in a row, Satine hosting these shows. So don't miss out. Join our Facebook groups. Join our YouTube. Subscribe. Turn on the notifications. And I think that's about it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Hey, did you like that video? Be sure to subscribe by clicking the S icon on your screen and click that bell icon to be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you'd like more info on the items featured in this video, click the link provided under Product Info. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to let your geek side show.